Hey everyone, welcome to Crystal's Literary Lounge. I'm Crystal, and today I wanted to talk about the books that I read in September. So, this is my September wrap up. I read Practical Magic, and decided to read that because I really love the movie Practical Magic. And for me, this is actually one of the rare times where I say I liked the movie better than I did the book. Completely understand why people love the book and why it was chosen to be turned into a movie because the book was good. I just ended up loving the movie version better. So it's about two sisters. They are witches, and it also covers like it's a generational. So one of the sisters, it actually talks more about her children and what her children are going through, where the movie sort of just focused on the sisters, especially one sister. So I just enjoyed the movie better than I did the book on that one. I also read A Dowry of Blood. That was a 5-star read for me. I really enjoyed it. So it follows Dracula's brides, and his first bride, Constanta. She is writing about her experience and how Dracula finds her. She never names him because it's basically her writing out how manipulative he was and how she and the other brides absolutely loved him, but none of it was real. It was all just manipulation, and you really see how he used their love against them because he wanted everything about him, and it was all about control. And it's so beautifully written, and it just really like kept pulling me in as far as, oh, this is what happens, and it told a very hauntingly beautiful story. So if you have not read that, I absolutely recommend it. It was a great read, had a lot of fun. I then read um, these two books. So normally when it comes to new books, I don't purchase books by authors that I haven't read before, or they're brand new to me. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I utilize my library a lot. But this time, I actually went against that, and I purchased Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber and Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So, one of these I absolutely enjoyed, and one of those I'm still not sure how I feel. So, we're going to discuss those two, and maybe by the end of this discussion, I'll figure out what my feelings are. So I'm going to start off with Once Upon a Broken Heart. This is the one that I don't know. I don't know. Did I like it or did I not like it? I can't figure it out. So it follows Evangeline. She's our main character. She's an orphan. She has like an evil stepmom, stepsister, and her father died. Her father dies, and he leaves her like his 4 shops, and she runs one of the shops. It's kind of like an antiquity type place. And at the start of it, she's in love with this guy. His name's Luke. And they've been seeing each other. And then suddenly, he is marrying her sister, her stepsister, Marisol. So she decides that she is going to go to the fate of Broken Hearts. And his name is Jax. So in this world, fates are real, and they have temples built to them, churches, and so she's going to find one and pray to Jax to stop this wedding because she just knows Luke has to be under some sort of spell, and she thinks her stepmother must have done it. So she makes a deal with Jax. He says, I want you to kiss 3 people and I will stop this wedding. And she says, okay. So she makes the deal with him. She gets back home, and the way he stopped the wedding was he turned everyone into stone statues. So there's like this poison over to the side, and she can take on their curse. So she can become a statue and release them. So she does that. Well, she ends up getting released. And after she gets released, it's basically her following Jax, not intendingly. She wants nothing to do with him because she felt like he did her wrong and how he stopped the wedding. It wasn't what she wanted. But she ends up following him to the north, and it follows her journey. So there were things that I liked and things that I didn't like. In fact, the first half of the book, I really didn't care for it. It was very confusing. There were parts where it was like, one minute they were questioning, does magic exist? Does it not exist? And then the next moment it was, they would talk about flying carriages. So I was like, okay. And then they would talk about bells ringing and how bells mean, they can either be a warning for you or mean that something great is going to happen. And once they get to the north, there's lots of magical elements. So they were just parts that didn't quite make sense to me. But in Evangeline, I had trouble with her. I really did. I had trouble with that main character. Because she just seemed so painfully naive. It was hard. It was really hard. But by the end of it, I thought, oh, okay, maybe she's finally starting to come into herself and not be so naive. Because there was actually a part where she talks about, she says she wasn't really in love with Luke, nor was she in love with this prince that she ends up marrying. That's also part of the book. But she was in love with the idea of being in love. And then she also says, I need to stop being so trusting with everyone. And so I thought, okay, like we're finally getting somewhere. And then again, at the end of the book, she trusts someone that she should not trust. And I just thought, sweetie, come on. So that was the negative parts. The positive parts were, I really enjoyed all of the parts about the Fates. They each have like their own story. And I ended up finding out that this is kind of uses some of the characters that were in the Caraval series. So I have Caraval. I'm currently reading it because I felt like I was also missing something. I felt like there was something that was just left out of this book that I needed to. So I'm going back, reading the Caraval series, and hopefully then maybe this book will make more sense. And maybe then I'll like it more. But I did find the other characters just more interesting than Evangeline, so that was sort of a letdown. But I am going to read the next one. I have it on hold at the library. I'm waiting for it. Fully plan on reading it. So I must have liked it enough to continue reading the series. So I now want to talk about my favorite book that I read, other than A Blood Dowry, is Fourth Wing. I absolutely loved this, and I didn't know if I was going to. And this is sort of, you either love it or you don't like it. There hasn't been really in between. I understand why certain people didn't like it. I get it. There were some issues with it, but I had so much fun, and that's sort of how I judge whether I rate a book 5 stars or not. Did I have fun reading it? This was 5 stars for me because I had so much fun reading it. So we have our main character, Violet. She has a medical condition that makes it very hard for her to do certain things. She's in constant pain. And her mother is this general. She's not a nice lady at all. She's very terrible. And she sends Violet to, instead of going into the scribe part of the military, she says, you're going to be a dragon rider because all my kids are dragon riders. Violet's dad had previously passed away, and he was a scribe. Also, one of her brothers, who was a dragon rider, had previously passed away during an insurrection that happened, I think it was like 6 or 7 years prior to the start of the book. So it is basically Violet trying to survive this Dragon Riders Academy, this military academy. All of the other cadets can kill her. The goal, though, is to become an actual Dragon Rider. She has all of these things stacked against her. There's also a romantic element in there. I absolutely I like the romance element. It was fine. It was young adult romance. It is what it is. I loved the banter back and forth between Violet and her dragons whenever she got the dragons. I enjoyed the actual plot and the story itself because who you think are the bad guys might not necessarily be the bad guys. And when you find out about the whole insurrection part, I thought that it was nice. I liked it. There were a few things that I didn't like that didn't quite make sense. It wasn't written well in the sense that it explained, okay, is everyone conscripted? Because it seems like everyone is conscripted, that they have to go into the military, but maybe they can choose the branch of the military, except for the kids whose parents were part of that insurrection. They're punished by going into the Dragon Riders, because if you're in the Dragon Riders, you can die at any moment. Not only is the dragons going to kill you, your other cadets can kill you, and then just all of the things that you have to do and pass in order to become a Dragon Rider, the school itself, all of that, it can kill you. So the whole part of like how that structure is, that was a little confusing. There was also this really stupid part about pins in there. Didn't make sense. But another thing that I did enjoy was the powers. So when you bond to a dragon, you get powers. And it's not that you can channel the dragon's powers and their energy, but there's also like some sort of power inside each individual person that comes out. So one person can like control metal, one can control locks, another person can read your mind, another person can use teleportation. So there's all these different elements, and I really enjoyed all of that. That was very interesting. And Violet's power that she ends up getting awakened inside of her, I thought was really cool too. So finally, I think other than reading Caraval, which I've started, and I'm also reading the Book of Azrael, those are all the books that I've read in September. Of course, I haven't finished Caraval yet or the Book of Azrael yet. Both of those so far have been okay, but I'm only like a little bit into both, maybe 100 pages into each one of them. And so I'll talk about those in another video whenever I finish those. But September was, let's see, I only read 6 books in September, so it was very much a slower month. Super excited about October and November, all the new releases that are coming out, and can't wait for all the new books to read. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.